Hey guys, Chris Vogel from RPM Performance today. I'm here with Gregg the Beast. We're in Velocity Sports in New York City, and we're going to break down some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes. So a lot of the extra rep stuff. This is going to be our new series, and we're going to be talking about all the hard work that really no one sees. So they constantly see, you know, New York Lizards, Face Off Academy, Prove People Wrong, Team USA. But this is what he does to get everything done. So Gregg, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Just another day. Another day here.
Getting everything done. This place is beautiful, guys. I'm sure you're going to see a ton of different stuff. We're going to get into a workout after this, but we're going to start off with some questions. So first thing we got for you, Gregg, when'd you get into lacrosse?
Got into lacrosse my freshman year of high school. I played baseball. I wasted a lot of years playing baseball growing up, but I also did karate. I did wrestling. I did all kinds of different sports. But then by the time I was a freshman, my dad was like, all right, it's time for you to hit people. I wasn't allowed to play football growing up. So it was a good change of pace. It was something that I fell in love with right away, but I wasn't good at it. You know, being in Philly, I was about 10 years behind the 8 ball. So I had to work a lot harder to make it.
How about training? Was that something you already did coming into the sport, or was that something that the sport did for you?
I've always been enamored with the body and training and all that stuff. So, you know, like I said, I did karate and wrestling growing up mostly. So it's what really correlated to me understanding the face-off at an early time. And the fact that the face-off, the ball started on the ground, made it a lot easier. So I don't have to worry about catching and throwing yet. I was already picking up face-offs on day one of my lacrosse career. So
just walking up scaring people day one?
No, I was not scary. the nickname Beast was a joke back then. I was not scary at all. But I fought hard. But like I said, I've always had that wrestling background, so it made sense to me, the face-off, and I approached it differently than the average person. But I was not imposing in any way back then.
Absolutely. How about training? How did that influence your game as a player? Like, whether as you developed your skill as a player and you developed your training, was there a big change or correlation between the two?
My technique didn't pick up until later in my career. I became more of a technician after I hurt my knee. Before then, I completely depended on my athleticism. So for me, being so far behind the 8 ball from a technique perspective compared to everybody else, I figured if I could just be an overall better athlete than other guys, it would get me places, and it did. But I had to catch up on the technique later on. So training's always been huge for me. I didn't really know what I was doing yet when I was in high school, but I just knew that I needed to lift stuff up and put it down. But then once I understood the science of it when I got into college, that's when things changed.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of steps into that. You just go as hard as you can until you realize you're doing everything wrong.
Exactly.
You know, you step back and readjust, but you at least have that foundation. How about your influences in training? Who was like a big influence with you?
My mentor, Brad Pantoff from Penn State. He was the one who took me under my wing. He was our strength coach at Penn State. And he was my mentor the entire time I was studying kinesiology at Penn State. And when I graduated, I worked for him for a year at Penn State with men's and women's basketball. And he gave me the understanding of the science behind things. It wasn't just as simple as go hard every day. There had to be some kind of understanding and pattern, and you know, then while you're at school learning the biomechanics and putting them into work was great. So yeah, Brad gave me most of what I have, and then once I graduated, you know, I picked books up by different guys, namely Dan John. Yeah, I love Dan John. I love his philosophy of lifting and life in general. So it's very good stuff.
Yeah, Dan John is obviously a great strength coach. I had a ton of stuff. I was constantly reading all this stuff. He was one of my big influences as well. Penn State's got a great program as well. That strength and conditioning program is unreal.
Yeah, it's great.
So that is a great opportunity for that. But that's when it really developed for you. It was more of a college situation.
Completely, yeah.
So
college.
All these guys coming in right now, they're way ahead of the ball.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm teaching kids now who are 8th graders what I learned as a sophomore in college. And I think they're jaded. They don't get how lucky they are.
Say that all the time. Guys, what I want to do to have this, you know, when I was in 8th grade or when I was in 7th grade, and get all my bad habits off the table right away. How about lacrosse? What was a big influence in lacrosse? You said you got involved late, but were there anybody specifically that you looked up to as you developed your career?
Yeah, you know, when I came in as a freshman, Kyle Sweeney was a senior. And I just remember my first day of practice, I could barely cradle the ball. And I'm looking at guys with film from Georgetown filming Kyle. I was just doing drills, and I was just like, wow, man, like this guy's gonna go to college, he's gonna play at Georgetown, it's so cool. And he was one of the best leaders, best teammates, and I looked up to him in high school. And then once I got into college, I actually looked up to the guys that I competed against. There was no face-off training in college. There's still a lot not face-off training in general amongst college programs, but you know, I had to learn and teach myself. So I studied film. Andy Corno, Pete Vlahakis, guys like that I would compete against are guys that I would follow on film and learn from.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity too. Even coming in, there wasn't like much to look up to, right? There wasn't any pro lacrosse, you know.
There wasn't.
Like that, so.
But if you saw the Final Four, you know, the Final Four started being on TV. Chris Searcy was the first person I noticed. Paul Canabine and Andy Towers were the three guys that were older that I kind of looked up to and I noticed. And I tried to emulate.
That's great experience. You get to play against the exact guys that you're looking up.
When I faced off against Paul Canabine, I was completely starstruck, and it was a moment I'll always remember.
I'm sure that happens vice versa all the time right now.
Yeah, I don't know when it happened. I don't know when I got old, but hearing a kid walk up to you during a face-off and say, "Man, it's an honor to meet you." You know, I watched you growing up. You're like, man, I'm only 30. I'm not that old, dude. But yeah, it's happened very quickly.
That's awesome.